plus years, you know, they've all been in the industry. What I really like about these dudes is that they're adamant craft, you know, passionate about what they're doing. All respect for the dudes and the got going on in the industry. Got on their team, got the company. I like that. Right up there in Arvada. They got Vinny. Got his client right here, smooth, shiny already.
We'll be teaching a long layered haircut today.
So we're gonna make sure that he goes in today and does a really cool beer demonstration for you guys. First and foremost, though, I really appreciate you guys' time. Thank you guys for coming through. You know what I'm saying? You know, we need a lot more going. Yeah, for sure. I'll let you do back in here. You guys are for hopefully, you guys start coming through and registering for the barber battle here in a little bit. Everybody's feeling quite a bit. The show today should be a
First and foremost, I'd like to thank D for having me out. I'll do another quick intro. My name is Vinny, owner of Common Barber Club in Old Town, Arvada. And yeah, been in the game for a long time now, over 10 years, and done a lot of education, and really excited to be able to do this in front of all of you. We're a little bit condensed on time, so I wanted to say, like, if anybody has any questions during this service, feel free to ask, so that way we don't have to save them at the end. Feel free as we move here to just ask whatever questions you feel like asking, and I have a couple key points that I hope for you guys to take away today. So, without further ado, we're going to be doing a beard service today on Cameron, and Cameron's a good client. He's in the shop quite often, so we always get pretty dialed in, and he's also one of the clients that doesn't mess up his own beard in the barbershop. What we're going to be doing on camera today is I like to focus on freehand styling and shaping of the beard. So one of the doing that freehanded is to always make sure that you're combed out and in place. And so that just kind of assures that any stragglers that we're going to be seeing throughout this service are constantly taken care of, and that way, as we move, we'll be able to see, how the shape is kind of coming out, and essentially how to make this last a long time without having a lot of stragglers in place. So the first thing I like to do is I like to take my clipper with no guard, and when I set the shape of the beard, first thing I like to start with is the chin. Starting with one side or the other can obviously tend to create unevenness when you go back and look at it from the front profile. So I'll see if I can do this for you guys. See this well. But I like to start right here. One key to starting to set your guide for this shape is I like to take a pretty parallel line here from the bottom of the length back into his Adam's apple area. The reason for that is I feel like if you can angle the length from straight on, usually it comes out where the beard continues to grow and look full. As soon as you start to angle the length from the chin up into the jawline area is when you start to get kind of like a real pointy beard that tends to not grow out quite as well. Can everybody see well? Oh, thank you, bro. I should be all right. Appreciate you. One thing that I always do when freehanding anything, whether it's a haircut or a beard, I like to set a base that is able to keep my hand steady and essentially, kind of protect me from any sort of awkward movements that, you know, client or I may have made throughout this. So keeping a nice base um, on the client is something that always helps with that. And you'll notice how I'm keeping this shape on the chin length nice and parallel with the floor. And that's just to keep this length looking full throughout the growth. Usually what I'll tell them to do is relax as much as possible. So
Do that a lot.
But yeah, I prefer to have people as relaxed as possible because one thing that happens generally is, I'm not sure if you asked that, but generally what happens is people are manipulating the way that their head is turned throughout the service. One of two things can happen. First of all, it's going to make, whenever they move their head back and forth, it's going to look different on you every time. And also, I want this beard shape to be perfect, how he's going to be walking around naturally with it, which is, you know, not looking like that. So generally, I like them to stay as relaxed as possible. Right now, I'm just setting on the jaw just to make sure this line on his chin length stays straight throughout, and I can stragglers. How many of you are in barber school? Where you guys going to school? Yeah. Now, once I set the length on the chin, what I'll start to do is freehand shape on the cheeks here. And what I want to stick with is this idea of the front profile looking nice and square. What I'm going to do is try to not take in where it's plugging his face too tight, because that's going to accentuate the length on the chin and make the whole beard just look funky as it grows out. And that's like one reason why I really like to stay with the idea of freehanding beard length and not trying to use long guards, is because I can basically take what we know about the essence of the art of barbering, which is to accentuate the best features of the client and hide the worst. What we're trying to do when people wear long beards is to create this nice, strong jawline. So as soon as we take a clipper guard in, what we're doing is we're at the mercy of the shape of their face and their jawline and how it naturally is. We're trying to set something that looks strong and firm and not exactly staying with, you know, his natural jawline shape. So as I start to set the length here on the cheeks, I'm just going to try to take it as parallel 90 degrees from the floor as I can.
All the way close?
All the way close, yep. I use the fine tooth part of the comb, so that way everything is being pulled out nice and evenly. The wide tooth part is going to leave too many hairs to their own device. This is a clipper. There's a couple trimmers that I think work okay for this. Most trimmers are designed to cut shorter hair more precisely, whereas a clipper is obviously designed to be able to do that in debulk, like this fading clipper that I'm using. But there's a couple of like brands that make wide enough tube trimmer that I think could get this job done. But these style craft instincts I think are really good hitters for shooting. Eventually I will take my trimmers when we're starting to create sharp lines. Now that we have the shape of the beard set and the length, the next thing I like to set free-handed with my clippers is the jawline that we're actually creating here. And one way that I like to set that guide, I'd like it to be as parallel as possible with the line that we're going to create eventually on his cheek up here, so that way we get that nice, strong, pronounced jawline. So I'm not going as straight here like I did with the chin length. Everybody can see that. I'm going to be angling that to a place where it kind of accentuates the length a little bit and gives a more parallel look from the side profile with where we're going to set these lines. Before we even get like super dialed in on how tight this is looking, you can already see what that did for his jawline. Made it nice and pronounced, which in my opinion is going to have it grow out better and just last longer in terms of the strength of the shape that we're creating.
Where you at, Jenny?
We're actually coming up on about a year at my new shop in Old Town, and we're right there off of Grandview and Wadsworth, which is a little bit north of I-70 in Wadsworth, over in Old Town, Arvada, if anybody's familiar with it. Building a nice little squad over there. We're having fun, man. It's a good neighborhood to be in. A lot of traffic and a lot of people that live in Old Town. For outside of the obvious reasons, really seem to be committed to doing business with all the small business. So benefit off of that a lot, man. So 4 chairs full, and I think we'll end up probably having the capacity for about 6 or 7. So we're kind of dialing it in, making sure that we find the right people that like to spend time with every day. A lot of answering bullshit. We want to make sure that the vibes are high with when it comes into the shop, man. And so far, we've been lucky enough to be able to achieve that goal.
Their squad, they got a lot of OGs on their squad too, man. They got wow. One of his exclusive partners, the side was actually barbershop.
professionalism is important, and Josiah holds that in the high regard, which is I'm super lucky to have him as part of my network and part of my team, and somebody that I get to spend every day with at the shop because in this industry we have a lot of freedom to run our individual businesses as we want and be able to surround yourself with people that hold the highest regard of professionalism is something that's like super important to me. And the team that we have right now, I'm definitely lucky for because they hold professionalism just at basically the height of what they come in to do every day.
Pick it up, with the brand entrance right here. Got it.
What's up, chicken?
What's up, man?
Right here.
All right, so can everybody see that? How what we like to do here is create the first jaw length or the chin length, which we go straight in parallel with the floor. Then we start to create that jaw shape, start to creep it up this way to be parallel here, and that just like I said, really helps create a nice strong jawline here. And from then on, it's kind of a little bit of detailing work. I'll move on to giving him a nice taper from the sideburns down into the length on the cheek.
Like on his own, you mainly see it, or would you like recommend like a brush or like a comb? Like,
I mean, generally, a lot of people have more curly beard hair, in which case a brush could probably help you like maintain that a little bit better. His beard hair is a lot straighter, so a comb would be very sufficient in doing that job. One thing I tell my clients at home, like I have a lot of beard clients that they'll even come in for beard services in between every haircut, and one thing that I try to do with clients like that is just ask them to not try to get as close to the sharp lines that I make, just so that way, it's easy to make an error as somebody who's not a professional barber trying to get their beard to look good every day. Really easy to make an error, and then as soon as they come in, now it's like we're trying to figure out how to like cut it, shape it, but also grow it out again, and kind of be able to fix those imperfections that they may have created. So the first thing I do with my clients that take care of their beard at home in between services, basically say, hey, if you can stay a centimeter away from the lines that I created, then that will assure that whenever you come back into the shop, I get somewhat of a blank canvas. That way I'm not constantly fixing human errors that you're going to make on your own at home. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about fading. And what I like to do here is just create like a really nice graduated blend from the sideburn into his length here. So what I like to do with that is I like to start with the number 2 guard. And basically I'll hit the number 2 guard right where I want to start seeing that transition here. And that's because I feel like the number 2, especially based on the density of hair, the number 2 is a good place to set blend where you're going to start to see it go from light to dark in transition.
What is our opening?
I just opened this. It's been a little bit of a while since Cameron's been in, so I just want to make sure that I'm not going to go in and dig a hard line in there that I don't want to any of the lower cheek. So I did open the 2 here. But there's even certain hair densities and textures. People with like extremely thick hair, I would probably go in with like a 1.5. People with a little bit more of a sparse beard, I would go in with like a number 3. But a number 2, I think, is a good guideline to kind of set and judge based on the density of it. I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side here real quick. Once I set that gradient transition in there with the number 2, then I'm going to go in and only with the corner of my blade, I'm going to be blending into that 2. Then from there, whatever's kind of left over in that gradual transition that I want to see, I'll start to comb and freehand again, just to kind of get any of the stragglers. And usually with beard hair, that's a really good way to, you know, a lot of barbers when they're fading, they like to use thinning shears to sort of just kind of cut out some of that like hard line that a clipper made. What I'm going to do beards 9 times out of 10 is generally I'll freehand some of that extra weight and darkness out of the bottom of the I'm starting with my clipper close. Like I said, go in with the corner. That's not only important in, you know, fading haircuts, but also when it comes to beards. Beard hair is really, really easy to start to create lines that, you know, they may be more subtle than, you know, thick hair on the side of somebody's head, but it's lines that are just ultimately really difficult to blend out in nice gradual. Mostly because beard hair is mostly going to be a little bit harsh than hair on the side of somebody's head. So using the corner of your clipper blade really kind of helps you, you know, avoid doing things like that. So I've gone from a 0 to an open clipper in about much space here, and like I said, I want this blend to be very natural and nice gradual transition. His beard is a little bit lighter in color. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to get one of those nice short fades that pop on lighter and more sparse hair. So that's why I like this to be as gradual as possible, so that way as it's growing in, it just looks natural. I have my half guard here. Kind of gonna use the corner, clip out some of these bits of bulk here throughout the fade. Switching to my 1 dart for basically the same thing. A lot of this is really by feel. I believe there's a little bit more of a process in fading somebody's hair rather than their beard. Beard hair is just very delicate in a lot of ways, and so I like the fading technique to be as needed rather than such a system of always doing the same thing, because as everybody's hair is always different, beards can be really temperamental when it comes to creating a nice gradual blend. Now that I've reached pretty close to where that 2 starts to take over, I'm just going to come in and lightly hit some of these longer hairs and stragglers to fine tune the bottom of this blend where it's starting to get dark. Can everybody see? Alright, thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you, man.
Something I like to do on certain beards where it may not be as dark or as full, setting this line here, when we want this to be really sharp, setting this line here can be a lot easier when the hair is not as dark and full. If you're able to take down the length. Right here at the where we're gonna set this line, I'm gonna take down the length so that we're almost kind of creating a blend of this direction as well. That just creates an ability to make the line a little bit sharp. To go and do that. I have my one guard halfway open here, and that's just because when the beard hair is really long here on the cheeks, if it is lighter like Cameron's is, it's a little bit more difficult to create a super sharp looking line on that longer hair. Same thing here, just freehand the graduation down a bit. Fast.
Just kind of like the process you all around, but like you like a long beard.
So I was actually, yeah, thank you for asking. That's a great question. Generally, this process is great for any beard that's about Cameron's length or longer. Any shorter than this, and we're starting to get into the area where like clipper guards are going to be needed to even set that sort of length without having tons of differences in length that you're trying to freehand. If you're getting all the way down to, let's say like a quarter inch or maybe even down to like a half inch of length, it can tend to be a little bit more difficult to be accurate with handing that. So I would say that these techniques are going to be great for any beard that's around his length or longer in terms of how we set the length parallel to the ear, create the jawline going up in this direction, and then the fading process. So yeah, that's a great question, and I would say these steps I would take on any beard of this length or longer. Anybody in the battle today? Yes. There you go. Take some cojones, man. Yeah, that boy. There we go. Up to you guys that are participating in the battle, man. It's something to be able to put yourself out there in front of everybody in this craft and in this industry in our area. It's something that can be daunting. And so stuff out there like this is going to help you in the long run in a lot of different ways. Getting comfortable cutting hair in front of people is a big deal, and making a name for yourself is always going to help you out in the long run too. Yes. Yeah, that can help. Alright, and again, I'm just mirroring what I'm doing on this side. Time's sake, I'm trying to get this side here kind of knocked out. If anybody has any questions, feel free to fire them off, but I'm going to try to dial in everything on this side in a bit of a shorter period of time. So for a full beard service with the shaping of the beard, line up and shave, that's generally 45 minutes. I like to be able to not rush the process with hot towels. Prepping the skin is one thing that I think is so important. So as soon as you start punching that time frame down, you lose a lot of what the luxury service is. And in my opinion, that starts to get into like so for a nice full service on the beard, yeah, we're generally about 45 minutes. I also do hour-long haircut appointments. So if that kind of gives you an idea of like, you know, how long I usually have a client in the chair, I try to have my service menu generally match up, so that way, you know, as somebody who's doing this for a living, I don't want certain services to be cut short and less attention to detail than other services. So I want to make sure that I have the proper amount of time to take care of everybody. And one thing that's tricky with booking in this industry is, you know, generally, and I don't know if everybody does it this way, but most of the barbers that I know do, we block the same amount of time out generally for, you know, most haircuts, for instance. And everybody walks in a different situation. Some people might book that hour-long haircut and come in with 6 months of outgrowth. Somebody might book that hour-long haircut and come in 2 weeks later. And so, you know, time management, obviously, in this industry can be difficult when you're booking that way. I don't know too many better ways that I've ever heard of doing it. But I like to make sure that I have enough time to spend with everybody in the chair so they don't feel like my schedule is cutting their service in half, how they come in, right? Another good question.
Yeah, people feel it when they have questions.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I mean, just like you would spending your money anywhere else, you know? If you're spending top dollar to get a top tier service, the last thing you want to do is feel like somebody's constantly watching the clock while you're in the chair and being served. Alright, so now moving on to the lineup here. So I like to keep, one thing that I really try to focus on when it comes to line work on beards is a lot of guys' beards, they'll come back here and kind of outgrowth will kind of tuck in below the ear. The further that you get away from that, it's just like lining up anybody's forehead on a fade or anything like that. The further you get away from that, the worse the outgrowth is going to be. So even if, you know, say, camera's not exactly like this, but even if, say, he had lots of dark hair coming down and below his beard here, I would stay as close to that natural hairline as possible because it's going to help you stay sharper lines, better outgrowth.
How do you go about it?
Yeah, I guess I think the growth pattern often shows it to us. But essentially, like, I'm not necessarily talking about stuff that connects from, you know, their back of the neck hair here to here. But when you start to see the thickness of the hair sort of dissipate, is when I'll start to create my guide. So, and obviously Cameron's not the perfect example of this because he doesn't have a lot of that goes back this direction. But generally what I'll start to look for is where the hair starts to dissipate and get a little bit thinner as it grows back this direction. And that's where I'll try to set my guide. So even if his hair did kind of come back in this direction, that's probably where I'm going to try to line it up. So that way, you know, 3 days from now, he's not looking in the mirror thinking like, dang, I just paid all this money and sat in the chair for this service that already looked out there.
Like a natural look.
Yeah, I like to, and I believe that even the closer to the natural hairline is still really, it makes it almost, in my opinion, a big sharp line. So the further I push this away from his hairline, it's not necessarily. So as I did when I was freehanding his beard, I'm keeping a base on him so that way my hand can stay steady and him and I can kind of understand where I'm at in this process. You know, a lot of times, like, you can kind of lift your hand from the client, and they kind of feel free, like, all right, you know, pick out whatever's going on. Then we can kind of, it's in a lot of ways me signifying to him that I'm working in detail right now. And you can kind of see how we set this to be generally pretty parallel in the way that this line work is going to be shaped. Do the same thing on this side. You always want to look from the front profile to make sure that you're creating these lines. That's where these beard lineups really pop, is when people can look from the front profile and just see two nice lines. The last thing I like to do before I lean him back and put his head back out here on the headrest is when it comes to mustache length, everybody prefers different, but as a beard starts to get longer, I believe the most natural look best and always grows out better. What I like to do is I like to clip it over mustache length. That way I can get at a set length from the middle, blend that into the beard over here, rather than taking a guard into it all of a sudden fading process.
And like babysit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in a way, I'm kind of shaping it this way, but the color acting more as a, you know, protection, accidentally digging in there too much, and it's giving me an opportunity to, as I'm debulking length off of his mustache, already be blending it in to the length on his beard.
Actually, I just asked that 'cause it makes me mad when I'm like, you mustache.
Yeah.
It's in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate that.
I'm just gently freehanding blend here, like we've done in the kind of make sure it's all matching down here. And one thing that Cameron, as a client, it mustache right in these areas tend to go out really fast and really thick. So we like to focus on this area and make sure, like you're saying, we don't get all that stuff bothering you right in that area. I think that's a focal point for most guys that have beards longer. I'm gonna hit a nice natural line on his mustache, top and bottom here. Keep a little bit off the lip. You know, Cameron doesn't like his mustache lineup to be too tight and thin. So we're gonna keep it as naturally thick as possible while still making it look nice and well groomed. Whenever I'm freehanding anything, I'm keeping a base so that way my hand can stay nice and steady. And a lot of times you can kind of develop a nice like pivot movement to keep all of your movements the same. So if you see how when I lean his head back, one of the biggest things that clients want to tend to do, stretch it out as much as possible to try to allow you space to work. But ultimately, that's just going to manipulate his face and in ways that he's not walking around. So I want him to be as naturally back as possible. Not necessarily tucking his chin down like this, but definitely like this. I'm gonna follow the shape that I made with the freehand on his length. And we already have the guide set. The line is pretty much done, and my trimmers are just gonna go in, sharpen this up, and absolutely, absolutely, yes, sir.
You know, so for time purposes, we're gonna have Zane right here. He's doing his thing, doing the beard work and all that stuff. I'm gonna bring my next dude up. Eddie, this dude, man, one of the first second barbershop I ever worked in. He was the dude that was in the corner, busting out 30 haircuts in a day, you know what I'm saying? And I'm over there like, damn, where's my one client at? You know what I'm saying? Jeez, where's my two clients at? So he actually saw me from the ground up, you know, and it's actually cool to actually have him at my spot now. Speaking to all you guys, because he actually had a big positive impact. There was times where I was like, man, damn, but watching him do everything, I saw it was possible. He's overfilled. He was always a dude to, you got somebody right now. You cool. You take this dude right now. You can do this dude right now. So his hustle, man. Watching that, especially at the youngin, moving up to Denver with no clients. That like, yo, man, I want to. You know what I'm saying? Being able to watch that and watch his career go up. Now he's on his barbershop.
Five and change.
Five and change years now at his barbershop. I'll let him talk to you guys about that. But let him talk to you guys about his journey, his career. Got Eddie over here talking about business and everything. Along with that, like I said, man, my career.
Having us guys watching each other grow is crazy. Same thing with Vinny. I watched him, reach where he's at right now, guys. It's super motivating to see people like this. Bear with me. I get nervous, start talking fast. I'm trying to slow down. You just showed me out right now, just talking so smooth and stuff. But yeah. Said my name is Eddie Diaz, 88 Barber on Instagram. I'm on Barber Denver. Barbershop we've been open. It's our second location, not second. We moved to a new spot, a bigger spot. We started with 4 chairs. We're at a 14-chair barbershop now. It's growing. It's baby steps, guys. It's something that I want to you guys to know. That's baby steps. Everything takes time. So yeah, we have a new barbershop. We've been open over that new spot for 2 years. Like I said, we moved over there. We outgrew our last spot, and we're growing little by little. We're always hiring. We're trying to get new people in there. Always got to be the right vibe. That's something that's very important. A little about me. I've been cutting hair for 21 years. I started cutting hair in middle school. I don't know, maybe some of you guys have as well. About 13, 14 years old. Cutting hair through high school. It was not too serious back then. Obviously I was in high school and even in my early years. I'm 35, 36, I'm 36. I got into my first barbershop on MySpace, guys. I was on MySpace posting pictures. A barbershop wanted to reach out to me and say, hey man, I'm not licensed, right? So I'm like, hey bro, I'm not licensed. He said, don't worry about it. It's a shop in Aurora. The hood shop. So I worked in the hood shops. It was a base for me to get going. I saw how everything worked. Started working there. Worked at you guys know, certified customs tattoo shop. They have at some point we opened a barbershop in certified customs. I worked there a little bit over a year. Honestly, at the time, it wasn't doing it for me. It wasn't paying my bills. I'll be sitting around the barbershop all day, sometimes for $10, sometimes no money. Something that go through that makes you value it a little bit more, maybe. I had to step out of it. I stepped away from barbering for a little bit. About 2014, got a call from my buddy Moss. We were at that shop. Moss was like, "Hey, bro, the shop." I was really going through it at the time. My job that I was working wasn't cutting my bills, so I was like, "Last chance, go at it." I started working there. I remember the owner of the shop was like, "Hey guys, none of the barbers are ever here's a 7-chair barber shop. None of the barbers are ever there. Hella walk-ins. Nobody's ever there to take them." So I wanted to work. So I told him, my man, he also had a construction company. At the time I was painting, so I was like, "I'll work with you during the day and work over here afternoon. Try to get going, try to get busy, try to get some money." So he goes, "Just be here every day. None of these barbers are here." Did jump over that 10. I think we like 7, 10 and 10 every day. Eventually, he's talking about I was doing 25, 30 haircuts a day. Grind. Go around there at that same time, we went to a Barber battle class like you guys. Shout out to you guys for being at this class too, by the way. This is something really important for you guys in your career. I told you guys have been growing from this and keep doing this, keep going to these classes, keep going to these events. You'll thank yourself later for doing that for yourself. So in this class, it was A-Rod and Papito Bless Hands. Marcus PH actually didn't make it in, but he FaceTimed us. Anyway, it put me on scheduling myself and apps and stuff. We didn't have that back then. Like that was kind of the intro to it. I know everybody got books and all these apps now. Back then we didn't have that. Social media was kind of still kicking off. Instagram was still kind of kicking off. So I remember they put me on Genbook. Genbook was like kind of like my base, kind of get going, organizing myself, and now things got a little bit more orderly. At that point, I think I was getting so busy, and I was running the barbershop I was working at. I was all paid program, right? So I told myself, you know what, I need to step my game up, and very important, guys. Whoever's not licensed, get licensed. You're only going to go to a certain point with being on license, and you're going to limit yourself from growing where you want to grow, or being up, giving these classes like this. Not that you have to be licensed for these things, but definitely a lot of doors open when you guys do that. So really important. Finally got licensed. I started putting myself in a situation so whenever I was out of school, I was going to be ready to open a barbershop. Finish part, guys.
Thank you.
Barber Club, Arvada, you guys really, like you said, bring good vibes. He's one of those dudes when we talk about good vibes, he's really always good vibes all the time. Professional all around, his barbershop, really cool barbershop. Laid out really nicely. You guys are neat. I'm sure Vinny will probably be more than happy to have some of you guys go down there and check out his shop, see what you got going on.
Absolutely.
But I definitely appreciate all you guys' time. Vinny, one more time for Vinny because he's the man.
I want to say thank you again. Congrats on this location, bro. This is absolutely beautiful. Like, congratulations.
Got an intermission if y'all need real quick before Eddie finishes up. We also are about to have Seabass. Seabass is actually the barbershop right here. One cool thing about Seabass is he was in my grand opening. So I actually from Broadway, South Broadway 8 years ago. Call this a grand opening. Weather has been all thrown off. I got good weather. I've got a nice cool space. I'm going to bring Seabass was actually at the grand opening back then. This girl back had one of the original t-shirts from back then. I don't even have one of those, which is like, really, really cool. So to see that new support, and now I actually have it on a year later, or 7 years later, but now he's been on my team for a whole year and a half now. Great, knowledgeable dude, clipper dude, anything that I need, clipper-wise, anything that comes out. Just nerd dude, knows all that stuff, bro, because he literally takes his craft serious, his education, all that stuff serious. Every time I go to barber class education or something, this is the main dude that I take. It's like, I'm really happy. So to have Seabass come up, I'm gonna do a cool creative cut. His model right there in the back. as we get that going, and he's gonna what we got going on. Rolling. It's all rolling. We got a kind of little late start. We're cool, man. You know, we're getting in. Bathroom right there. Anybody needs water or anything like that? Soda, coolers all over the place and all that.
You guys want drinks? The cooler's got drinks, those are the drinks, and water, everything, and a little bit of chips, whatever you want, grab them. We got the water on the No.
Thank you.
Y'all cool? Anybody need water?
Yeah, there's food in there. If you guys want some food, a little bit of everything, man. Thank you. Are those egg rolls good? This will work. I eat already like 20 of those bastards already, man. You like candy? Oh man, over here, that's why he stays straight, man. He don't eat like us. That's why we fast. That's what we don't eat, man. We the ones who killing it. What? You're like, I don't know when the fuck is my next meal, so fuck it. This one's free. I'm getting it. That's the way to do it, boy. I just had some of those tacos already. Yeah, I took two each. I took two pork and two chicken. 4 of them for $10. It's not bad. 3 tacos. Yeah, you gotta spend that. You know? Plus, you see about that, I gotta help out. Yeah, exactly. I have to. Now that you start bringing all the clothes in and whatever, they change that. You got a charger behind you? That's this fool. He's the one right here, man. He's the one might do that. This fool will do it. He's an iPhone guy.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie. I had one here, but I don't know where it is.
Yo, I got you.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, I have one here too, but I don't know.
Them fools got a crazy hair, man. That's themselves. I need that in my life, but shit, I'm bald headed. Ain't just nothing on my left. Man, I can't grow nothing. What am I gonna grow? A freaking island? Right here, no hair, and then the side a little bit? What the hell am I gonna fool? Hey, I told Derek, one of you fools need to get certified to put you on those wigs for the guys. Look me up, bro. Derek was showing me a video. He's like, man, Dad, I'm about to get certified in this. So I could be your first dummy.
Shit, I want something.
Yeah, I got you.
I think all the stations got some good.
Yeah. Are you a barber or you just
I was out there, I'm like, I'm coming in. The place is big, but it's getting.
My barber was the one with the pink hair. Fabio Blends. Thank you, bro.
no problem.
You're getting to that point, bro. But for me, not to candy.
Yo, appreciate y'all. Hope everybody's cool.
Yeah.
Have a great meeting, man. About to thank you.
Oh yeah, we just got everything. Yeah, thank you.
We're about to let Eddie go ahead and finish up what we got going on. Let Seabass go ahead and do his thing. Real quick though, funny story. Kid right there with the Channel News 9 right there. That's one of my longest clients that I've ever had. That's the longest client that I've ever had. He's been with my client for like 13 years. He supported me since before I even knew how to help you cut hair. You know what I'm saying? Now he's an adult and he's doing his job. You know, I actually cut up when he was like a little 8-year-old kid. You know what I'm saying? And now he's like an adult.
Yeah, a couple things I wanted to talk about too. That I feel like have made me successful in my career and put me where I'm at now.
It's cool. It's a nice show.
This is real big, guys. Take yourself serious. Like you gotta take yourself seriously, because if you don't take yourself seriously, nobody's gonna take you seriously. Like really be about your business and stand on it. I know that's what everybody says now. Stand on it. That's true. You can't half-ass things and expect great results. You're gonna get half-ass results. With that said, communication with your clients. I have a lot of barbers in my shop, and I always make sure communication is one of our biggest things. Customer service is real big in our shop. I want everybody to have something nice to say about my barber shop and my barbers. So communication, as far as if you're running late on your client, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Shoot them a call, shoot them a message, be like, hey, I'm running late, I'm being handled with one of my clients right now. The reason why your client might be rushing to you guys, try to get to this haircut, you're gonna get an accident, run a red light, have a ticket. Anything can happen, give them the decency, give the respect of their time by communicating with them. Plan ahead, if you're gonna step off for lunch, whatever the situation, make sure you're there. I myself have grown point where now my shop opens at 10 a.m., closes at 6 p.m. I'm in there at 7 a.m. By the time my barber show up at 10 a.m., I've already done 6 haircuts. I myself that I really do like. It's important to not just focus on I know a lot of people are like, yeah, I want to just look at all my homies, and all the young kids. But most of those people are trying to get haircuts for the weekend. I'm trying to get my demographic is more business people that want to get a haircut for their job. Haircut on Monday morning. Mondays is my busiest. Communication with your clients, being really good about customer service. Communication with your clients as far as try to understand exactly what's going on with their hair, what their goals are. Consultations are big. Communicating, if you think something's not right, whether this might not look good with you, and just send off your client with what he thinks looks good. It's your work out there. You're signing off on this product out there. Then it's everybody else, and people be like, "Who cut your hair?" If it's terrible, they're gonna be like, "Oh, Eddie over there messed me up," right? So, really important. Consistency with your clients. If you gave them a good haircut, give them a good haircut again. Always stay on top of that. If you were on time last time, you had a conversation with him last time, and you remember a slight, I don't know, the guy was going to go on vacation. Use those tools use those things as tools. Like people like that, I guess. Communicate. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but anyway, they like when you remember them. Like remember them by first name. That's really important. Another thing that I do in my barbershop, every one of my clients that wants to shop, whether it's my client or not, everyone in the barbershop, I ask them, like, we don't like people coming in the shop and sitting down. They don't know who they're with, what's going on, what's up. If you know their name, hey, what's up? What's up, Tony? Don't come in, sit down. We'll be right with you on some drink, we got water, whatever the situation. If your clients address them, make sure they're comfortable. Another thing about that, another thing that I think is really important about that is, say, a client comes in, and I think I wouldn't say taken clients from people, but in shops that I've worked in the past, I've always addressed clients whether they were my client or not. So somebody comes in and I say, hey, what's up, bro? How you doing? You know, the guy remembers me. So if his barber happens to not be available next time he tries to book, he's gonna remember that Eddie was real cool, and he's gonna book with me. My point is feel that haircut. That client could become your client, and that client could bring you more clients. So that's how I felt like I've grown, and I have the books that I have now. And when I say like a lot of people cut, guys, I'm not too my own horn, but like I cut, like I'm cutting like 15 to 20 people every day of the week. There's no question about that. Like I'm hustling, I'm working. I take little 15-minute breaks to grub, but I plan myself. I plan my time. That's really big. So time management. Know how long it takes you to do a haircut. Another thing, like Vinny pointed out, like some clients, 6 months with the hair, try to stay on top of it. I guess with a new client, it's kind of tough. But if you know this client sometimes takes you longer to plan on it. So you don't want to bring over on time with the next guy rep, and then you bring it to some clients because you got to catch up. Consistency, dedicate time not only to doing but classes and stuff, also marketing. Well, it's a great place, barbering, blown up like 2018. Like I feel like I saw it grow up. It was only like like 10 people class, and you guys are not graduating like 30 people now class, and that's like consistently like I think that's 6-9 months everybody's now. So dedicate time to marketing. I always tell my barbers as well, post guys, keep posting. Now as barbers we gotta be photographers, we gotta be photo editors, we gotta be marketing, it's everything right, but it's important to post not only when you're not busy, but when you're busy. There'll be times that go down. For me, I feel like slowest times are like January right after the holidays. That's when I try to take my vacation. Thankfully, barbering has opened a lot of doors for me. I've had the travel a lot of places in the world, and I love it. So, really important about marketing yourself. Discipline. You have to stay disciplined. You guys serious about this business, barber, license, all those things. For me, my barbershop, all my barbers are licensed, obviously, but I also have insurance. Barber has insurance. You never know what may happen. Hurt somebody might be unhappy. You never know. Stuff happens all the time. It's something to watch. My ass, watch turns, start getting where's what. You gotta watch for yourself. Insurance is something. Another thing that I want to talk about is a lot of barbers don't really. If you want to make it a career or something, it's important to take your numbers and taxes and stuff like that. Get an EIN for the IRS, start open up a bank account with your business, and when you guys are ready to open up your own business, you guys have some kind of history. For a situation here. I'm going to like this last building that I'm renting now. They wanted my financials. They wanted all the paperwork showing that I could be there. You know, the breathing space. Got 14 chairs in there. So they wanted to make sure that I was going to be. Keep that in mind when you guys are building up. Take the necessary steps to make it easier for you guys when you guys do get there's a lot of possible streams of income in the business, as well as barbering and cutting hair yourself. For me, like I now have a chairs, right? So I'm making money off the chairs. This year I've been working on it for a while, but this year I was able to finally pull the trigger on my pomade. Now I got product. Your clients, whatever you put in their hair, they're more likely to buy it. They tell you, hey, what do I do with my hair? Got some pomade, your brand or something, whatever you're using, they're gonna use it. most publics don't know. Most people in the public don't know what to put in their hair, how to style their hair. Something teach them how to apply the products. How it is. Something that took me years to get going. Barry's actually bought the first case of this guy, so thank you, Terry, for this. It's unreleased, but Barry got something in the shop. Because he knows somebody. What's that, bro?
We got it in the shop for 100. It's unreleased.
I saw this in the shop for $25. I'm gonna let you guys get back to it. If you guys have any questions, I will be around. There's any questions right here.
Yo, Eddie got a cool barbershop too, man. Everything that he does is really professional. He's really one of those dudes that's like takes pride in like you said, professionalism and make sure somebody always has something about the shop and stuff like that. Every time I've been with Eddie, man, he's been nothing but just a well, like an elegant dude. I'm saying his barbershop is just a representation of him. He's a professional dude. Like I said, let me and wave your hands. He got room in his barbershop. EMP, the barbershop Stacy, stuff like that.
How's it going, guys? My name is Sebastian. I go by the Barber or CBS, whatever you guys want to call me. Been doing this for 10 years. Went to school for 2 years. I was a cosmetology student, dropped out. I want to do that. Became a barber and have been rolling with it ever since. Also, I wanted to kind of, I don't know if any of you guys know, but lost someone in the industry 2 weeks ago. I wanted to kind of brush up on that, go on how important it is to take care of yourself and check in on everyone. Barbers are constantly on our feet, we're constantly worried about everyone else. We have to take a little bit for ourselves to make sure we're okay, health-wise, mentally, everything. Tend to worry more about making money. So, a good friend of mine, a lot of the younger barbers, he kind of gave them push to become barbers. Most importantly, it's a friend, father, and I wanted to brush up on that. Take a quick moment of silence, honor him to day one, okay? You guys know him. We are doing a benefit tomorrow. Brush up on that. That's from 7 over at True Barbershop. They want to go cut. That's all. Taco, but I just want to take a moment. Alright. So let's go into the haircut. What we're going to go over today is we're going to be going over the texture on top. I'm going to do something a little bit creative with texture. I feel like that's a big thing people are doing, but not everybody knows how to do it. There's a million ways to do it. I'm going to show you guys mine. And then we're going to do a design on the side. Something simple, kind of what we're looking for today. In today's battle, if you're doing the creative cut, a lot of solid line work, but let's get some fading in there. Let's make it pop a little bit. Lines are cool, but fading is a lot cooler. So first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely saturate the hair. Determining where its hair is growing, it's going to help me part it. We go through this process. I'm going to use a U-shape or horseshoe partings. So the way I like to kind of picture this is we're going to go looking at his crown, and that's going to determine where I part his hair. Now we're going to go from the recession point of where he's receding right here, and we're going to match it up to that where the calic is, where we can see the crown. Going from part it real quick, I'll show you guys. I got this U shape going from like the recession point to the crown where it's swirling the back. What I'm going to do. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a foundation all the way around his head. How I start every haircut. What I'm going to do is we're going to take from the back of his head, I'm going to comb down should be a natural parting right in here. It'll give you a guideline. You can see we got short, and then long right here. We're just going to create a foundation all the way around his head. I'm taking the small tooth part of my comb, just because it's bringing a little bit more hair than if I were to take this bigger chunkier side. I'll take this, and once I kind of get to this front area, you're gonna see I kind of pull out a little bit more just to kind of protect that shape. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. You can see right there kind of where that guideline is. When I'm cutting through it, I'm pulling away. The difference between that, like doing that and just letting the shear do it, is if I go like this and I push it, it's pushing the hair. When I'm going this and I'm pulling, we're getting more of a precise line. See that? Now I can go right there, it's smooth. Now we're gonna go to the top. Now at the top, what I like to do is I like to part it in the middle, and we're going to side to side. So when I'm going like this, the difference is I'm going here and I'm creating a line of demarcation. So when I get into my fading point, I have a place to stop, and that's usually where I'm going to stop all my clipper work, and I'll do the rotor comb. Just protecting the shape to what we're trying to achieve. Within, we're going to try to achieve more of a square shape, as much volume right here. So when I get to the top, we're going to go into more of a square layer going this. When I start it, we're going to have a little bit more to play with. So again, going through with this on the top, we're gonna part it down the middle, and not everything's gonna move over that way. That's perfectly fine. We're just gonna kind of keep it a little bit elevated to where I just put it right there, just to get a little bit more hair, and I can work within these corners. The same thing, we're gonna pull off. See, I'll just go slightly above that line. Through. Okay, so when we get to these corners, we start to pull it out a little bit more this way because we want to protect the shape. It's going to be here. Same thing on this end. And also what this is going to do is going to prevent it for as the wind hits his hair, starts moving this way. The hair's going to stay in place. It's not going to look like a undercut or anything. Now you can see it going this way, and it lays smooth right in that area. Same thing on this side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the top, and it should be pretty simple because you're going to see, usually with someone a little bit longer hair, you'll see it'll be a little bit shorter, and then we have a hump. What we're going to do is we're just going to kind of go straight across, creating more of a square layer, like I said, keeping as much volume through here. And when I do these sections, I don't want to go any wider than the width of my comb. We start going a little bit wider than the comb, start redirecting the hair. Now we're changing the length of what we're working in. So take the smaller, sections. It might seem like it's going to take longer, but you don't have to go back and, redo things. Cross-check. There isn't going to be too much on this side. So I cut this area every other week, so not too much maintenance, but usually just take your time to go through that. Now that I got the whole top kind of cut the way I want it, I'm going to go to the smaller shear, we're gonna add a little bit of texture. Now for me, there's a million ways to texture. You can use a razor, you can point cut, you can use a texturizing shear. For me, I personally like you doing more point cuts. I'm able to control it to pick how much texture I want in a certain. So if I go in like this, we're not getting too much texture and too much area to play with to get more of an artistic kind of look to it. So if I take wider chunks going at it, we're going to have a little bit more to play, and it's going to be a lot easier to see. Going through, like I said, we're going to take the chunks, and for this, I only take like maybe 3 or 4 sections straight down the middle. With that being said, you know, when we get to the side, I'll kind of show you, because I want a little bit more texture in these areas as opposed to trying to do the whole way, because now we just got a little bit of a messy. It's going to look messy. We're not going to see the texture. It's not going to visually be there. So I go like 3 or 4 times going through, taking these wide chunks here, you guys can see. And I'll always kind of just leave this front alone. I don't want to go into that because I need that to stay flat. Especially when we kind of go into more of the lineup and stuff. So now that I got handled this quadrant right here, I'm going to go here, and I'll probably usually I do 1 or 2, and 1 or 2 depending on how I feel. If I do 3, then it's a little bit more. Again, just staying away from these corners right here. I can't stress that enough. You know, you start to go in, then you kind of lose the density. Trying to guys that more the crop, they're trying. Now that I got all that done, I'm going to go into a style. And what this is going to do is it's going to give me like almost like a final look of my clipper work, whatever I'm going to go into. It's going to have a little bit better of a hold, and I'm going to be able to see what I'm working with. So I'll just take a small amount. I'm using Statement's matte paste. This is what I'm like used to using. Now that we have any stuff, I'm going to start using that a little bit more. So I don't want to step on his stuff, but this is what I use right now.
Really good.
Now I'm just going to go through, and I really just want to get this all to its hair. What this is going to do is we're getting down to the root. I want it all the way through, because now when I'm going to hit it with my blow dryer and diffuser, we're going to melt it into the hair. So you're going to get the best bang for your buck when you're doing this. So I'm just making sure his hair's a little damp, not too crazy. You can already see right there, there's a ton of texture and a ton of movement right there. That's typically why I do it. Now I'm going to use my diffuser on my blow dryer. You don't have to have anything fancy like this, but I do. Makes my job a million times easier. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on a high setting for heat, low setting for power. I want this to dry super natural. We want to create a lot of frizz. Things with most dryers, which barbers we don't know, there's an ion button. Not click that. That's going to smooth everything out. We want to create as much frizz and as much texture as we can of light. Going through, I'm going to kind of go in this way, pushing it towards the middle, just because I want the most volume right in this area. And once I kind of dries and I can kind of feel it doing its thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go a little bit more to the front, and I'm going to scrunch it up. And that's just going to create a little bit more volume and stuff right in that area. Now I got my top situated. I got it cut. Ain't fully styled because we're going to go a little bit more into it. But now we can go into our clipper work. So now we just finished this. We got a final look. We know what we're working ourselves into. For today's purpose, I typically sometimes use them, don't use them. I'm going to use my detachable clippers to create a nice even canvas. I want to make sure the density is good, but I still want to make sure it's dark enough. So I'm going to go through with this. This is a 3.5. This is a little bit longer than a little bit shorter than like a 3. So it's closer to like a 2 open. Definitely, if you're going to use these, learn your guards. You zero gap and then go shorter. This is closer to a 2 open. So with this, I'm gonna kind of stay underneath that line of demarcation and just give myself a good clean canvas. So I'll just kind of leave it right there. Like I said, we're going to keep it a little bit lower than my line of demarcation that I just created, just to protect the shape. So now everything underneath is going to be wherever my clipper work is. When I'm doing a design, typically what I'll do is, this is going to be my shortest right now. The longest, I'm going to blend this in with my clipper over comb, and I'm just going to do a design on one side, and we're going to clipper work on the other side. Kind of a little short on time, so I'm trying to zoom through it as quick as possible. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask while we're doing this. So going through with clipper over comb, my clipper over comb is a little bit different. This is what works for me and the way I understand. So when I'm going through, I usually like to keep it open. When we're doing clipper over comb, you usually see everybody go like this. I don't think it gets it done the most efficient way. So when I'm going through and I'm doing clipper over comb, when I'm going this way, we're taking out bolt. Now, when we have a guard on our clipper or we're fading up, we're not going this way, right? It don't make sense to do that. We're going and working our way up. So I like to remove bolt this way with the open, and then once I got, my profile that I want to kind of sharpen it up, I'm gonna close it off and I'm just gonna go up, looking that way. So in my opinion, it makes it a little bit more polished, makes it look cooler, and makes it look easier. And I'm gonna go with which way the hair is laying down, going this way, and I'll typically start up because I want to create that profile on this, and I'll work my way down. And you can see like there, it looks cool. It's still a little bit choppy, so that's where I'm gonna go through, and I'm now gonna go up, blend in. I love these colors, man. These are like the carbon fiber, black ice, brands that are a lot more. Sounds like, like because it doesn't stick. It's like a big comb suit. Grabs everything. 90 comb. I'm gonna get this as best I can. I'm gonna go through my blending shears. Going into design work on this one, it's a little hard to teach. You either got it or me, I was the artist in the process. When we're going through design work is always very important. We want to make sure we go into, like in our form, right into black. Go through, and our ball line is white. Raised. Now that's our half guard. Going beyond is going to be our blacks. So oftentimes we go big enough. I have to go figure out the density. Going through, I like to kind of see how we're moving. So I envision it in my head. I love these. I turn them every single way, and it's gonna feel like a pen. Going through, I like to have a starting point right here. Kind of like to on the end point of this one line. So connect the dots. This line will be kind of a little bit thinner on the thinner side. I'll kind of go through wide enough. I got my razor. Now, got that. I kind of want a little bit more of a swoop right in here. So the starting point. I want to make sure. I want to make sure when I go through my top line, now that I got my base and my top line, go through the top line is pretty good.
Yeah, for time purposes. Get right here. Over there. East Denver. But you guys 40 years in this business now. I got a really cool shop over there. Just check them out. When I walked in their shop, I was like, oh, that's really, really cool. Floors are laid out nicely. Setup outside was really, really cool. He has that old school, like, just American, you know, just a cool all around style barbershop, you know, really, really good dude. This is the shear god right here. He does a really good job with the shear haircuts and styling, implants, and everything classic like that. So it's a really, really cool dude. Having him and Steve Adams on stage at the same time, that's really, really cool. It's really good experience. Let's go ahead and finish on what they had going on. And then
So you're going through now that I'm going to kind of go into a little bit more of the fade work. I want to, like I said, we want to keep that white, gray, and black in the transition. So for me, I'm going to start it a little bit lower. If you take this up, and just kind of imagining how you want that to fade in. So when we're going to go through, there's no specific way to put your guideline and whatnot. It's all about the blend work and how it's going to look. So for him, sometimes I like to start off just a little bit higher right in here. Usually when I do this fade work, I like to work in sections because I don't want to confuse myself and be lost in whatever I'm doing. So for me, I'm going to work just right here. As if we're doing fade work where I'm just boom, boom, and then the back. Make it a little bit simple. I lose attention very easily, so I like to work like this. You can see I switched trimmers. I went from the Jared Onyxes to these. They're a little bit softer. They're not going to create a crazy line like those. If I was all out with those, it's going to be a whole different look. So I have these set however I need them to, especially if I don't mess them up. Going through, this probably looks funky compared to what we normally see. I'm using the Con Series 5 or 6. I don't know which one they are. I just recently went to these. I just feel like time, they mow through a lot quicker. I don't have to keep a box shaver. So I like to use these. Weren't too expensive. They'll go up. And going into fade work, like I said, out of this section, I want to keep this as dark as possible. So we're going to say maybe just quarter inch, half inch, and create that blend. With the clipper open.
Yo, real quick, 3 o'clock, all the barbers that are in the super competition outside, to the left, like by the registration.
So one thing I wanted to add, guys, I feel like a lot of people don't really think about you guys coming out of school and not being so busy. It's pricey, guys. Give yourself a decent price where you guys can work and obviously make money to be able to do that. But a lot of barbers that I've seen come out the gate trying to charge too much money, and you're sitting on the barbershop hours and hours and hours. You know, even in a busy barbershop when you're not busy. Supply and demand is super big with that, guys. Like if you ain't busy, like there's no reason to kick up the prices. I say that from experience. Like I've seen barbers that they like. For instance, in my shop, there's a lot of barbers. We have different prices, but the reason why some of the barbers have higher prices is because they're really busy. So I think supply and demand is something to think about when you guys are trying to gauge that. Don't overprice your haircuts and put you guys yourselves in a hole where you're not going to be busy because it's pointless if you're charging $100 for a haircut if you're sitting around not cutting. So something to think about. That I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily pay attention to.
I'm gonna slap this thing on. I've been using this as of recently. It's a blur guard. Goes from a half to a 1.5. I found that it makes my time a lot quicker and it takes time as money, but being proficient is very important. And I feel like I've learned how to use these. So this will be like going from the half to 1.5. I can go all the way up to this line right now and make my job then. I'm gonna fade down.
What guard are you using there?
It's called a blur guard.
Yeah, you've been using that for the past couple of days, and all his haircuts have been down to like 3 minutes. That blur guard. They're like, yo, man, what guard are you using? And it's really got, but yeah, got that blur guard. Great.
Yeah, all my clippers are zero gap. I like them. It's easy to get that fade line or that ball line out. Pretty easy. Yeah, so when it's closed, it's a half. When I open that lever completely, it's a 1.5. Super odd. I don't know if it works. That's the deal. Taking a 1.5 on one side, going up, and it bounces up completely. So I'm just gonna keep working my way through this, and then I'll kind of go over this side. Get some top.
Going everybody. Owner of Stage Park Company, also a business partner, Diego Carrion. He's going to be with us today. He's actually taking his son camping for the first time today. That's the show. What about myself? I'm 32. I've been taking here for about, I'll be licensed for 9 years this November. Yeah, but I've been dabbling with it for like 9 months. First and foremost, I would love to give a huge shout out to Derek here. Being a barbershop owner and being a business owner in general, like, I don't think you guys, if you've never done it, it's hard to fully grasp and understand what it takes to build something like this, to build a brand, to have the ambition and the drive and the capital to build a beautiful, incredible space like this. Like, it's insane. It's so beautiful in here. The space, the lighting, the decorations, like it takes a lot. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of heart. It's not for the faint of heart. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Derek because this is so beautiful here. Like, it takes, you have no idea what it takes to build a space like this. So thank you so much for having me, Derek. It's a huge honor. Derek's been doing it for a long time. It's one thing we do here as barbers. It's all about community, you know. And I know you guys see Derek pop out in the community at all the barber battles, at the thrift cons, at the blocks, and just everywhere you see Derek. You know, he always got an amazing setup. So thank you so much for having me be a part of this. It's really special. Yeah, Steady Hand Barber Company. We've been open since October of 2020, so I'm coming up on 4 years here. Super exciting. As Derek said, I'm huge on just like traditional barbering and classic barbershops, vintage, Americana, just stuff like that. So this is my boy Vincenzo. As Derek was saying, with this gentleman here, Vince is one of the guys who's been letting me cut his hair since I was in barber school, and it's been like 10 years later cutting his hair. So he's a very near and dear friend to me, and he has like incredible Italian hair that is just, we're gonna hook him up with a very nice pompadour here today. Little side part action, shear work. I'm gonna hit him with like low to like mid fade. I always start my guidelines lower, but just my blends always end up a little bit stretched, so it still will blend up to his bridal ridge. If you guys have any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to ask. And I'm just gonna get going. Shout out to everyone who's in barber school right now. Moving along in barber school. You guys are going through the dog days right now. It's not easy, but it's worth it if you're willing to put forth the effort. I actually taught at Emily Griffith for a couple years in the night program, but we opened to do steady-handed. I just want to kind of focus my. Yeah. I'm gonna start with cutting the top of Vince's hair today. Usually, what I like to do with nice, like kind of comb over type vibe like this, I like to set a guideline, like where the recession of their hair is, kind of like talking about where Seabass was talking about. So here and here, that's kind of where I'll make my first guideline. Plus, I like to leave the top a little bit longer than the front to have that pompadour really extend. Set my guideline in. I like to point cut like this, cut the hair down like this all the way, because I'm trying to add texture and remove length at the same time. That was one thing when I was coming up is barbering was, everyone knows how to do fades and stuff like that. I really wanted to learn how to use my shears effectively, just look cool. I've heard that before, but it's comfortable. Just practice. Good work. I'll just use that guideline and continue to move backwards. What's nice is like once you become comfortable in your craft and what you're doing, you can kind of like eyeball how much length you're taking off, And I am working in horizontal sections, so just to make sure that I'm being consistent, I will actually go through and cross-check this vertically, just to make sure we're even here.
What I just did, put in my guidelines. I like to use the 3-finger method. So fingers never change the length. Put my line from the line of demarcation over. That's going to determine where I put my ball line. That's how I stretch my blend. That's how I always do it. Cool thing is, you got to go back. You got to figure out where you're at. Your fingers never change. Go back right here. 0, open, out, open, 1, open. So I use that process in everything that I do, and then kind of if I don't know how to, you don't know how to stretch your blends, you always go back to it. So I'm putting my ball line in with just my clippers. I don't want to use my trimmers. They're not designed to do that. So I'll take out all the bolts with my clippers, and then I'll go through the trimmers.
Going back to what you are using consistent. I think you're gonna hear a lot about being a barber. You gotta be consistent. As Eddie has said, and everyone says, you gotta be. So if you're gonna be cutting the hair wet, you want to cut it wet. If you're gonna cut it dry, then you want to cut it dry. So as I pull these sections to the left and to the right, my guideline is still in there. One thing as I'm moving, I like to hold on to the hair. I don't like to drop it because then I don't drop my guideline. So I hold on to that and then continue to move. The guideline is hiding underneath there. You can see it, it's hiding in there. Sorry, what was that?
Years ago.
Yeah, I started like right here. So I parted it off all right here where his procession is on both sides, and then I just made my first initial back in the middle, left. And again, to cross check, I'll probably take kind of like vertical, horizontal patterns, and you'll be able to see any imperfections poking up. I don't get too worried about this section per se over here, only because once I go to clipper over comb, I'm going to blend that in anyways. We'll cross it. So I actually, Vince's bark could actually probably be moved into his, more towards the top of his head ever so slightly, but we don't like it to be, when he's styling his hair, we want it to be as low maintenance as possible. So if I do it further over to the left, like right along this parietal ridge here, as close as I can to get to this, it'll just make for easier styling for him. And I'm gonna work on the front of this here. Honestly, like I like to leave here. Kind of pop it down. Exactly, yeah, because the texture is nice, the movement is nice, you know? So I don't find it necessary to have it be just yeah, I'm kind of just going through, grabbing sections and making sure it's all good. I find those imperfections really good for the texture, because if you go back in there, that's a deep cut, it's gonna kind of like that.
Mr. Barber, stay.
And again, going back to clean parting, so this parting here for Vincenzo, it goes all the way back to his cowlick back here, and I'll show you guys that. So you basically, I'll find that cowlick back there, and then try to continue that parting through the front. I think, yeah, I think I said that as well.
Right now I'm doing the C cups. My biggest thing is I feel like I see everybody tries to get their perfect C cup and we dig in too much